Welcome back to another episode of Albion Online ZvZ Guide. This ZvZ Guide will be divided into 5 episodes: ZvZ Basics, ZvZ Mechanics, ZvZ Countdown, ZvZ Bombsquad and ZvZ Battlemounts. Battlemounts can be game-changing in most of the battles in Albion, and having at least one in your team can change the whole Zerg approach to the fight. Battlemounts are forbidden to enter faction warfare and can only be used in Black Zone or Roads of Avalon. Faction warfare have their own mounts for each faction with different abilities. If you never played with a Battlemount, prepare yourself to have gear fear like the first time you played in a full loot PvP zone. This will happen with expensive mounts, but you will feel safe after the first engage. There are 2 types of Battlemounts. We have the Battlemounts crafted by the system and the Battlemounts crafted by the players. The system Battlemounts have 4 tiers, from tier 5 to tier 8, and they are called Bronze, Silver, Gold and Crystal. There is only one tier 5 or Bronze available, the Rhino, and it was given in GvG battles a long time ago. I think the tier 5 one was discontinued. The only difference in these tiers from Bronze to Crystal will be the HP and some stats. In higher tiers you will have more HP. These system Battlemounts come in the end of the season with the season chests. There is a possibility, not a guarantee, to receive a random Battlemount from a Conqueror's chest. Higher tier chests improve your chance of acquiring higher tier mounts. The rarity of the mounts, silver, gold or crystal, directly aligns with the chest tier. Players engaging in high-level 20v20 Crystal League matches also have a chance to receive this. The Battlemounts that can be crafted by the players are now 4, and they can be crafted in the energy manipulator in every city or in level 3 hideouts. These 4 mounts are Siege Ballista, Command Mammoth, Flame and Venon Basilisk, and each one has its own tier and recipe as shown in the picture. They can only be crafted normal quality, but before Lancelot mid-season patch they had different qualities, and those Battlemounts crafted by players before Lancelot are called legacy versions. There are still legacy Command Mammoths and they are worth billions. At least there is one masterpiece known, as shown in the picture. These legacy items cannot be rerolled. Since some Battlemounts are pretty expensive and take a lot of time to mount up, you must be aware of certain things. So before the fight, you have to know when to equip the Battlemount. Battlemounts take a lot of time to mount up, and even having gallop speed in the F, they are still slower than the Zerg mounts. So the player will go in the fast mount to the fight and equip the Battlemount, entering the map where the fight will be, with the gate bubble or in case of imminent fight behind the Zerg. Not too far and not too close. When to get out of the fight. Knowing when to reset the Battlemount or when to get out is all about experience. If you feel you don't understand when to leave, ask your caller to give you a cue to get out. This is where most Battlemounts are caught, like in this clip. They get tagged by other Battlemounts or players, and the enemy Zerg goes after the Battlemounts. They stop chasing other players and focus only on the Battlemount. This is the moment that should be avoided, but if it happens, you should already know before the fight where to escape, where the Valonian portals are, nearby exits, territories or castles. Also, while escaping, avoid getting tagged by mobs, because you will lose the gallop. How to reset. You can get dismounted during the fight and you will have 30 seconds cooldown to your mount. Or you can force dismount yourself to reset the Battlemount. The first one is obviously more dangerous, because you can get dismounted in a situation where the enemy has engaged and you may die. So we'll focus only on forcing dismount yourself. The max cooldown you will have is 30 seconds, when your mount is almost without HP. And you have 5 bars of HP in the Battlemount. So each bar of HP will represent 6 seconds of cooldown. So if you reset your Battlemount half HP, you will have 15 seconds cooldown to remount again. And there are 2 ways to reset. You can leave the Battlemount circle, and even being in combat, you can wait for the cooldown of the Battlemount, or you can right-click your mount and right-click your Battlemount again. Very important here is to only dismount when you are out of combat. And you can see that in the left upper corner, or with the inventory open, the items will be grey if you are in combat. The Command Mammoth will have 90 seconds cooldown if the HP is 0, but it works the same way. Each bar of HP will represent 18 seconds of cooldown. So if your Command Mammoth is half HP, instead of 90 seconds, it will be 45 seconds. Every time you use an ability on an enemy, you will have 10 seconds cooldown to mount up again. And these 10 seconds will also count if you use your abilities on a teammate that is in combat. When to unequip after the fight. Always try to unequip exiting a map or a portal. You will have a 30 seconds bubble that is more than enough to change mount. And if you don't get tag and you have a wolf, you will not get caught because there are no mounts faster than you. Always communicate with your teammates what is happening so they can help you escape. It's better to lose some regears than certain Battlemounts. This is also where a lot of players get caught, because enemy Battlemounts will focus you and they will not let you mount up again. The same sometimes happens when you are trying to reset your Battlemount. Here we'll see a player tagging a Battlemount so the Battlemount doesn't escape. So Battlemounts cannot journey back, only normal mounts have that feature, so if you want to journey back, you always have to change to the normal mount. And the symbol representing Battlemounts is white with a horse. Playing Battlemounts is not difficult, but these mechanics sometimes can easily turn your gameplay into a nightmare. Any Battlemount player will need a bag to travel with the Battlemount in the inventory, an escape build and a fast mount. The concept of the build is pretty simple. It will be an escape build for trying to escape in case you are dismounted by the enemy players. You will always use a one-handed weapon, because the offhand will contribute for the mount stats. If you take a mist color, the mount cooldown and cast time will be slightly faster. You can take a shield if you want and you'll be slightly tankier. Or in specific case, like the eagle or the basilisks, you can take a tome of spells so you cast the abilities faster. I will leave a table in the picture which offhand is recommended for each Battlemount. Food will also influence your Battlemount stats, so any food with cooldown reduction will be good, like pork omelette or Avalonian omelette for extra defense. For the chest you'll need a plate armor, which also influences your Battlemount defensive stats. Here you also can take a Mistwalker jacket. Sometimes you see players using that, is an option, but it's also a trade-off. You can use the jacket if you are dismounted, but you will not have the defensive stats for the Battlemount. This jacket is very good to use with the eagle, because you can use the passive to get your cooldowns faster. In the head slot, the most common to use is Soldier Helmet, because it doesn't put you in combat and it has a 2.5 seconds immunity. Since you must take an offhand, we have 2 good options for the left hand. One-handed mace for the extra HP if you are dismounted, or Bloodletter because of the escape capability if dismounted. Bloodletter W will not put you in combat, but the other abilities will. I also have seen using One-Hand Arcane, Bedrock or One-Handed Swords, both Clarent and Broadsword, because of the ability Iron Will, that makes your boots unpurgeable. So if you prefer that, that's also an option. Lastly, we will need boots in case of being chased and try to have more chances of getting out. There are a lot of options here. Some will be better in some situations than others, but it should come down to player preference. Now let's look at each battle mount and let's start by the system ones. We'll look at the less popular options that are normally not used as much. Goliath Horseeater or Spider, the Rhino, the Ancient Ant and the Phalanx Beetle or Turtle. They never got a rework and the Rhino was the first battle mount to appear in the game. Only has 2 skills and one of those is very similar to a Daybreaker. And since Daybreaker is not very used in ZvZ, this mount is also not very used and you have better options. The Ant is a backline battle mount that boosts healing similar to a root-bound Q, but with 40% healing boost, and has a straight long disrupt. The Ant is not very good for kiting because it has stationary abilities, but in terraces or castles it should work, but players prioritize other stronger battle mounts, and the Ancient Ant is left behind. The Spider is more seen in ganking than in ZvZ. It can lock players, but can also lock enemy battle mounts. In a duo with Ballista, for example, it should work, but is not very common to see. Phalanx Beetle or Turtle doesn't see much play because the Q is not strong. The W is very similar to a demon armor, but you only reflect the damage you take and not the damage taken from the players around you like a demon armor. And on top of that, the resistance you get are only for you, while demon armors give the resistance to everyone around you. The E works like a worst icicle. It slows the same, but it's difficult to use. So since you probably will have demons in your Zerg, this battle mount is adding nothing special with its abilities. Juggernaut. This is where things start to get interesting. This battle mount can be used in a melee bomb squad. It's not common to see, but it's possible because he has the capability to pull enemies and do a clump, or it can help the main Zerg doing a bigger clump. It needs at least 6 charges on a 15 meters radius to pull the enemies and purge them continuously. But these charges can be cleansed, but it's difficult to cleanse so many people, especially if you use more than one Juggernaut. You can use a Knight Helmet also to counter the pull, or even a Guard Rune. This is a mix of an Icicle, a Camelon and a Life Curse in the same ability. Beetle. This can be offensive or defensive. Its W can be used to kite like an Occult, or offensive to knock enemies where it lands, like a small Soul Scythe. The Silence can also be used offensively or defensively. You can stop bomb squads, for example, or silence the clump your caller is doing. A particular different thing in the Beetle from the other battle mounts, it doesn't take tag. But when you are in flight mode, it takes a lot more damage than the other battle mounts. So when you have 2 enemy battle mounts that you want to catch, don't prioritize Beetle, because it will not get tag, so it will be more difficult to catch. Also different in the Beetle, if you use the speed ability in the F, it's the only one that has a cooldown, so if you use it and dismount, you will not have boots. So if you are playing more defensive, you should target the enemy engage with your E, and if you are playing offensive, you should target enemy supports and healers when your team engages. Bastion. Bastion Q uses 3 lasers on the Q, and after the 3rd it stuns players. You should always have Q stacks in the enemy DPS. These stacks also can be cleansed. You also have a good defensive, it's like a giant Judy armor where you give resistance to your teammates. And you also have a disruptive skill. You can use the disrupt to disrupt the enemy engage, and you have the defensives for your Zerg, and you can also go with the Q and don't let the other battle mounts remount when they are doing reset, or you can chase the battle mounts in the end of the fight, so it's also a good option. Eagle. Eagle is a backline battle mount with cooldown reduction, so you will be spamming Q to give cooldowns to your teammates. Try to divide your team in two and give Q to one side and Q to the other side in different moments, because it doesn't stack. The W is like a giant knight armor, but since the Eagle plays a little bit behind because it doesn't have a lot of HP, if you don't use it, it's not a problem, because you are already doing your job with your Q and your E. I will show you an example of a player playing W, and he has to go a little bit further to use that ability. The E cancels the enemy cast even 8 seconds after the spell hits you. It's basically a big bow of Badon. The Lightning Storm is very good against any Zerg, but it's the hard counter for the Command Mammoth. So if you are playing against the Command Mammoth, just remember that Command Mammoth use high commands, and you can see the high command ability on the player buffs. This can be countered with a Guardian Helmet. It takes the dots from the players that stay for 8 seconds, but this item is not very common in a ZvZ comp. But since last update, you can counter this ability with Fallen. You probably won't be using Fallen for this particular situation, but it's always good to know that it's an option you have. Without the Ascent passive, you won't be able to cast your E, like in the clip. But if you're outside of the storm, you can cleanse the dots from the other players, or if you use the Ascent passive, you will be immune to interrupts and you can use it on yourself inside the storm. Chariot. This is literally a mana fountain. 1 per 20-man party is more than enough to don't be out of mana if you keep spamming Q. You also have an interesting combo with the W and E, reducing damage and right after using a shield with resistance. This combo done right can absorb a lot of damage. It can save the whole Zerg. The defensive shield affects your team Battlemounts also. The position should be a little bit behind the collar, facing your team, to top the backline with the mana and use the barrel that comes out of the back in the enemy DPS. Be aware that the barrel explodes in the first target hit. It doesn't matter if it's ally or enemy. It's a little bit strange playing facing the backline at first, and you have to predict the enemy engage to take full value of the defensive combo. In my opinion, one of the best because it has a lot of utility. If you take the Chariot, your players can swap from Limer's capes to the Marlock capes that are much better defensively. And also Druid Cows are not needed. This Chariot is very strong against brawler comps with melees. Be aware, if there's a Behemoth in the enemy Zerg, you need to dodge the barrels. And if you cannot dodge the barrels, you need to stay a little bit more in the back line because the mana is more important than the defense. Behemoth. This is the anti-battle mount or anti-tank. The Q is only to use on enemy battle mounts to dismount them and make them go back and reset. You must try to take them out of the fight the longer as you can. The W is to disrupt the enemy engage. Don't use it on your engage. And the E is a silence to use on chokes, for example. Or in the place a bomb squad will be to silence. This can be countered with exalted stuff, but you can only take 2 puddles from the ground, one will still be there. Exalted, use it only in the puddles, might be a mistake, but if other ground abilities are nearby, it can be a good option. Because the cooldown on exalted is very long, and its usage must have a lot of value. But again, this is just for you to know that it is an option. Now we are going to see the battle mounts crafted by players. Ballista. Ballista is another anti-tank or anti-battle mount. While the Behemoth Q is a small AoE, this one is single target and very strong against other battle mounts. 2 ballistas will dismount a command mammoth in less than 1 minute. And this is the only job of the ballista. Other mounts will keep avoiding you, but you have to continuously pressure them. This can be cancelled with any silence, but most commonly is to see an arcane Q silencing to interrupt the channel of the ballista. Basilisks. So we have two basilisks. Both basilisks are very expensive and only have 2 skills, so the risk of taking one to a fight is big. But it's used anyway, especially in terry fights, because you have the walls, so you feel more safe when you want to get out, and the Venom is being more used than the Flame Basilisk. It has a very strong pierce, but is easily countered by cleanse. This is also new in the patch. There was a bug and it was not cleansing, and now it is. So the Venom is a pierce and the Flame is anti-heal. Command Mammoth. The best and most expensive battle mount in the game, and its abilities are also very strong. As we've seen in the Bombsquad episode, the damage boost is one of the highest, so it can be used in a bomb squad or in the main Zerg engage. Also, the defensive shield is very strong, and the interrupt is one of the strongest AoE knockbacks in the game. You will have to use High Command if you want to boost the other 2 abilities. Remember to use High Command when your caller asks, because High Command has a 90-second cooldown and can also be interrupted by the Eagle, as we already said. Any Command Mammoth killed in Albion is a conquer by itself for the team taking it down. So let's see a very intensive clip of Africa now catching a mammoth in a ZvZ fight. As you can see, most battle mounts have a lot of other weapon skills in one ability, and that's one reason that makes them strong. Eagle is like a bow of Badon, a knight armor and royal jacket controlled by one player. A Juggernaut is nothing more than a Camelon, any cycle and a life curse together. A Chariot is a druid call always spamming, plus a gigantic Judy armor, plus a carrying collar combined in one place. And the others are the same, they are mirrors of other abilities in other weapons. Battle mounts can also be used for the caller to see further in the fight, because they can tell the caller what is happening, because they have a lot of HP and can be a little more in front. Some battle mounts, of course, the others play in the backline or in the sides. Some big guilds use a party only of battle mounts. These are called zoo compositions. And smaller guilds will take advantage of 1 or 2 battle mounts, normally giving priority to the Chariot, because it will be the best overall, because it has different utility, and it will work in any comp or any place. In my opinion, Battlemount players tend to stay till the last second in the fight, but I think the reset should be done much earlier in most cases, because having the full 30 seconds reset can be too much time out of the fight. A big shout out to Mitirs and João Pedro Alvaraz for helping with this episode, and also I want to leave here the YouTube channel of Haylor that helped me a lot in this episode. He has clips of many good gameplays with life curse and other weapons, and you should check that out. If you want to help in the next episode, Mechanics, join my Discord and can find some interactions between items with me. Please subscribe and hit the like button, and I will see you in the next one.